In this video, I'll go over some of the tips and tricks for working with MyCurveFit.com on your mobile device. In addition to manually entering our data points into the X and Y data fields here, we can also copy and paste data directly from Excel. To demonstrate these different options, I have opened an Excel spreadsheet with example data. Let's start with a simple example. 5 sets of data points arranged in 2 different formats. The first format is arranged in a row orientation, with the X and corresponding Y data appearing horizontally in the same row. The second format is arranged in a column orientation, with the X and corresponding Y data appearing vertically in the same column. To copy and paste this data into MyCurveFit.com, I'll highlight the data and press copy. I'll navigate back to MyCurveFit.com, clear the existing data, and press the clipboard icon to paste. Once we've pasted in the data, MyCurveFit will prompt us to answer a couple of questions about the data organization. First, we'll select how the data is arranged. In this case, it's arranged by row, with X and Y data on each row. The figure above highlights each data point's X and Y data with a white or red stripe to help visualize the selection. Next, we'll specify which data contains the X-axis data, in this case, the left-hand column. And lastly, we can review the data arrangement and press Apply to accept. So now you can see the data has been added to our CurveFit chart. Now let's copy and paste in the data in a column format. I'll again select the data and press Copy. I'll clear the existing data from MyCurveFit and press the clipboard icon to paste. I'll answer the same arrangement questions, indicating the data is arranged by column, select the X-axis data, and press Apply. And you can see here the data has again been successfully imported. Once we've imported our data, we can update some of the settings for the X and Y axes. To do this, we can click on the axis title. For example, I'll enter the X-axis title concentration and the Y-axis title absorbance. You can also specify whether the axis should be linear or logarithmic by toggling these options. In addition to manually changing these axis titles, you can also import them directly from your Excel spreadsheet. To do that, I'll just include the axis titles when I'm selecting the data points. Again, pressing Copy, clearing the data from MyCurveFit, and pressing the clipboard to paste. I'll be prompted to answer a similar set of questions. My data is arranged by row, and on the next step, I can select to use the highlighted data for axis titles. If I deselect this checkbox, the text will be ignored from the import. I'll leave the checkbox selected and proceed through the remaining steps to import my data. Here you can see the data points have been added and the custom axis titles have been applied. The data points can also be modified from the curve chart. You can click on a data point to add a label. For example, I'd like to add a label to Standard 1. So I've clicked the point, selected Add Label, and I'll enter the title Standard 1. You can also add additional details in the details box below. I'll add 1 to 10 to indicate a dilution. And the last section will allow us to define a background color. Pressing Apply will add this label to the curve chart, and selecting the point displays additional details. These labels can be added manually, or they can be imported alongside your data points from within Excel. Following the same method we've used before, I'll select the data and labels, press Copy, clear the data from MyCurveFit, and press the clipboard to paste. I'll move through the arrangement selections, and you'll see here the additional question, does this column contain data labels? Pressing Next will include the labels along with my data points. However, if I did not want to include them, I can select the column to deselect the labels. Once the data has been imported, you can see the addition of the labels to my curve chart. Data points can also be excluded from your CurveFit by selecting the point and selecting Flag. This marks the data point, however, it is still included in the CurveFit. If you'd like to remove the point from the fit, select the Remove Flagged Points option, and our curve is recalculated. I have one last example data set to import. one which contains multiple replicates for each x value. You can see this in the Excel dataset. We have 6 x values, each of which have 3 corresponding y values. This will result in plotting 18 data points as opposed to 6. So I'll again select my data and copy, remove the data from MyCurveFit and paste in. I'll select the data arrangement, x-axis data column, and you'll see there's an additional step asking us which columns contain y-axis data replicates. I'll leave all 3 columns selected, and on the last step you'll note the x-axis values have been replicated 3 times to correspond to the 3 y-axis values. Pressing Apply displays our CurveFit with 3 replicates for each x-axis value. I'll quickly update the x-axis type to linear to make it easier to view the points. If you have any questions about how to use MyCurveFit.com, please email us at support@myassays.com.